Gerald, thank you so much for coming on my show today. We've got so many big topics that my viewers want answers on, and I know you're the guy to give it to them. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Stephen.
Yeah. So just really quick, since this is your first time on my show, I just want to let people know a little bit about you. Gerald Celente is the founder and director of Trends Research Institute and the publisher of the weekly Trends Journal magazine. You have been accurately guiding people around the world with your predictions and analysis on world events for over 40 years now. And I don't know that there's been more going on in the last 40 years than right now, as far as government control, wars, things like that. So I know you've seen a lot through the years. You've predicted many important events, such as stock market events, war events, government events. So let's jump into the hot topics of today. But what over the years, what would you say has been one of the biggest predictions that you saw coming that most people didn't see coming?
9/11.
9/11, okay.
Yeah. When USA Today was a real newspaper, they used to cover my top trends every year. And in December 2000, so just coming up for 2001, the headline in USA Today read, 2001 won't be our year, Trendseer says. And I warned that a wave of anti-Americanism was sweeping the globe, and that Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad. People forget about all the murder that Bill Clinton had created, and before him, George Bush Sr. People had no idea what was going on with the Palestinians and how they were being murdered, the Lebanon War, all the things leading up to this. In the Bronx, we used to say, payback's a bitch. Every time Bill Clinton got caught with his pants down, it was bombs away over Baghdad. Madeleine Albright, I'm tired of this crap, if only women were in charge. Good and bad comes in every sex, creed, color. Madeleine Albright, UN, United States Ambassador to the United Nations, on Leslie Stahl, 60 Minutes. Leslie Stahl asks Madeleine Albright, is the death of 500,000, 500,000 Iraqi children under the age of 5 worth the price of the sanctions and what Bill Clinton is doing? And Madeleine Albright said, yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
You could look it up. With the arrogance. And by the way, I did a gig one time on the QE2, and she was the first keynote speaker, and I was the second one. Her introduction went on for 15 minutes. And Madeleine Albright, her father was this, her mother was that. Anyway, the next day, they introduced me as Gerald Celente, the founder of the Trends Research Institute, publisher of the best-selling books Trends 2000 and Trend Tracking, blah, 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 publisher of the Trends Journal magazine. And I get up on the stage. I said, listen, thank you very much for that nice introduction. I said, I feel shortchanged after Madeleine Albright's introduction. Anyway, the audience broke out laughing. What I'm saying is that was my biggest one. And because you cannot keep killing people around the world and not expect blowback on it. Also, one of my sayings is, when all else fails, they take you to war.
Yes.
The dot-com bust was failing. The dot-com bust, we had forecasted in the Trends Journal in October 1999 that the dot-com bust would happen by the second quarter of 2000. But March of 2000, Bush's popularity ratings going down the toilet, America's deep in recession. All of a sudden, 9/11, and we're going to Afghanistan to get that guy Osama bin Laden, dead or alive. 88% of the people believed him. So what I'm saying is when all else fails, they take you to war. That's why I forecast that. I said either one of the two is going to happen here. But they're going to get the people's minds off this great disaster. Again, what followed World War II? What followed the Great Depression? World War II. They get the people's mind off it. The Great Depression, World War II. Forget about the Great Depression. We're going to war.
Yeah.
And they're going to do the same thing now. When all else fails, they take you to war. And World War III has already begun. It is not a proxy war. It's at war. Hey, Stephen, give me a gun and a grenade. I want to go blow this guy's brains out across the street. You give me the gun and the grenade, you are an accessory to the crime. United States is at war with Russia. And that's what I'm saying, because the market's very simple. The bet on the street, over 90%, the bet on the street is that they're only going to raise interest rates 25 basis points on February 1st. If they only raise them 25 basis points, whoop, shoot, market goes up. They raise them 50 basis points, boom, bam, market goes down. End of story. The people, markets don't make any difference to the average person. The 1%, the Davos crowd, own 54% of all the stocks. 10% own 90%. We, the people of Slavelandia, own 10%. You have in a 401k, you got a little piece, you got nothing. You got nothing. But that's all they're interested in is the equity markets. So even if they raise interest rates 25 basis points, the markets will go up, but the economy is going to keep going down. The economy is going to keep going down.
Yeah, but they'll get their money, right? Speaking of that, the World Economic Forum, they're meeting right now to discuss how to control the people, how to control the population, how to control poverty, the energy crisis, $2,500 a night hookers. The stories have been all over the place in the news. But what do you see coming out of this? Is this just a secret meeting on how to control citizens of your country? What is the real agenda of the World Economic Forum?
The real agenda of the World Economic Forum is all you have to do is look at the Klaus Schwab ahead of it. Anthony Frieda, who does the covers of our magazine, the Trends Journal, could not come up with a more satanic, demonic piece of ugly crap than that low-life scumbag, that arrogant boy. That's what they're up to. They're up to full control. They're up to total globalization. No more countries being their own. No more mom and pop businesses. The bigs have to own everything. Oh, don't believe me? Here. Leaders fret about the fragmenting global economy. Wall Street Journal, January 19th. Davos, Switzerland. Geopolitical rivalry, technology, decoupling, and protectionism increasingly have altered the world's business and political landscape, adding new risks and threats. Ready? Quote, "We are very concerned about geoeconomic fragmentation," said Jita Gopinath, the number 2 official at the International Monetary Fund. Oh, you're concerned about geoeconomic fragmentation. You're concerned that nations will be free. The bigs won't own everything. Once upon a time, I just turned 76 years old. There used to be places called grocery stores, hardware stores, drug stores, stationery stores. No, all gone. All the mom and pops are gone. Hey, we got Lowe's and Home Depot. Screw you. Why should you have your own hardware store? I'm Walmart. I'm Walmart. Hey, how about stationery stores? Hey, we got Staples. All you people, all right? That's all they're interested in. The 1%. The 1% that became what, 20, $30 trillion richer in the last 2 years? Oh, that 1%? That's all they are interested in, is complete control over we, the people of Slavelandia. This is 1,000 times better, 1,000 times better than the plantation system. Because in the plantation system, you had to house and feed the slaves. Now you just give them enough money. Here, get out of here now and come back tomorrow. The jobs being created? Oh, you mean people taking 2 and 3 jobs? That's a fact. Every time I go into a Home Depot, I try to stay out of all these places. I got to get stuff. My heart breaks. My heart breaks when I see the people working there. Back in the day, if somebody working in a stationery, so, I think, I learned a lot. I think I'll do something like this. I think, yeah, creativity. Oh, once upon a time, America was called the land of opportunity. Screw you. What opportunity? Hey, I'm Fink. I'm Fink. I'm BlackRock. I'm Blackstone. I'm KKK. Yeah, okay, I forgot. When I was a young guy, there were no hedge funds. There were no private equity firms. None of this stuff existed. They've taken over everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, they only have to control 1 or 2 people, right? Like, oh, hey, we just get in the ear of the CEO of Disney and we can control millions and millions of eyeballs. We get in the ear of Lowe's or Walmart, and now they can control the masses. Oh yeah, we'll give you just enough money not to complain or go to war against your own government, but not enough to actually survive, thrive, enjoy this beautiful life that we've all been given.
The beautiful life that's been stolen from us. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness? Declaration of Independence? How dare you talk about happiness? Get back into your house. Get the kids off the swings. The COVID will get them. Lock down your business. I'm Andy Cuomo, a little arrogant daddy's boy. I'm playing governor of New York. I'm Gavin Gruesome Newsom. I'm Witless Whitney. I'm DeWine in Ohio. What life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? I'm going to tell you, man, I'm a guy that grew up at the time right after the war. I'm born a year after the war. The spirit of this country, the spirit of my parents, my aunts and uncles, may they rest in peace. It was fun time, fun time, fun time. Now it's dead time. They suck the joy out of life. I go out at night, 9 o'clock up here in Kingston, New York, Woodstock, 15 minutes away, dead. When I moved up here in 1979, we used to go out at 10:30 at night up in Woodstock. Now 10:30 at night, dead. They what this COVID war has done, the damage is incalculable, financially, socially, mentally, spiritually, physically, incalculable.
Yeah, speaking of that, I feel like I lived in a different world. The state of Utah reopened for business in May of 2020. So we locked down, we reopened. I lived my life with no mask. Nobody threatened me. I could go basically anywhere, went to the movie. But then on my YouTube, in the comments section, I would see people saying, hey, I live in New York. My neighbors are ratting me out for not having a mask. I live in LA. They're shutting off our water. Just to see the difference, it was like I was living in a totally different country than the rest of the United States. It was so different. And yet the Utah economy stayed one of the strongest in the entire country. Meanwhile, New York was boarding up businesses on major streets. The markets were falling apart. I mean, it was absolutely crazy how they destroyed the psyche of the American people for control.
And not only American people, I mean, Italy was the first one to follow the Chinese way. You must obey. You know, I have friends in Italy. It's a whole totally different place. Over 100,000 small businesses gone out of business.
Wow.
Yeah. No, they've destroyed again, but the bigs got bigger. Merger and acquisition activity in 2021 was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
And look again with the COVID war. Yeah, you don't have to go to work. Stay home. Yeah, go on, stay home. Yeah, you got business, here's some money. Stay home. We're going to print up all this cheap money. We're going to dump in over $6 trillion, bring interest rates down to zero. We're going to artificially prop things up and you'll be happy. And now we're going into the crash. The worst
And
geopolitical...
no inflation. There won't be an inflation problem after
Nope.
printing all that money.
It's temporary. It's only temporary.
Yeah.
And then it became transitory.
Yeah.
And now in the woke world, why don't we call it transgendatory?
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, now speaking of stealing our joy, just yesterday I reported to my viewers here on YouTube how Janet Yellen, she's talking about this debt ceiling situation. We're running out of money. And then she openly talked about the government taking money from the civil servants pension, from the disability fund, and also from the healthcare fund of postal workers. They're literally taking the money from hardworking Americans' futures in order to pay the debts that they've created. So when you talk about the Fed confiscating or stealing our money through digital currency, or the government coming for us, like it's already happening. But maybe you could speak a little bit more to that.
Oh, it's all they do is steal our money. Look at the consumer price index number. Everybody knows that watches your show or subscribes to our magazine that the numbers are totally rigged, brought to you mostly by Bill Clinton. And so, for example, the housing prices went up, what, 40% in 2 years? No, we're not going to put that number in there. We're going to do, general rentals and this and that. We'll make up something. Oh, the price of meat went up. Well, people start eating, chopped meat now. They're not eating steak. They changed their diet. So the real numbers, John Williams shadow stats, it's inflation has doubled. Why am I talking about this? Because what you're talking about, they steal our money because they did this because Social Security goes up regarding the consumer price index. So if you don't have to raise the consumer price index, you don't have to give the plantation workers of Slavelandia back their money that you stole from them in the name of taxes. You don't have to give them back anything, only a little bit, So yeah, that's what they're doing. They're rigging the whole game so we, the people, don't get anything. They could care less. All they want is more. I read you the article, the headline about globalization. We have to get bigger as everybody else gets smaller. It's the government way. And by the way, this isn't a government, it's a crime syndicate. They're murderers and thieves. How much more money do they have to steal from us in the name of taxes and too big to fail? And how many more wars do they have to start and kill people around the world? They're murderers and thieves. If we don't have a new third party, this country's finished.
Yeah, I'm a libertarian myself. I would love for a good candidate to come forward, but it just keeps falling back to the same two-party system. And, even then it's like, okay, we're just going to take turns pretending like we care about the American people's best interest. But at the end of the day, they just do what they want to do. Like their agenda overshadows everything.
Yep, they're murderers and thieves. Yeah. They're a crime syndicate. As a libertarian, you of course know Ron Paul, and I was the keynote speaker at his event, The War on Us, in DC in 2021. And RFK Jr. was the other speaker, along with Massey and Judge Andrew Napolitano. And the fellow from Mises, I'm sure I forgot his name. But anyway, this is my suggestion. To put on the libertarian ticket, RFK Jr. for president and Judge Andrew Napolitano for vice president. You get the left and the right.
Yeah.
Because of the Kennedy name. And think about it. Your father was assassinated and your uncle was assassinated. The president of the United States. What kind of heart do you have? You can't imagine. And I believe he could win, because when you see the new polls that just came out about how the people vote congressmen lower than they do used car salesmen. That was a Gallup poll.
Yeah.
So what I'm suggesting, you being a libertarian, is to really promote this. And I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Judge Napolitano's already agreed, and I've been trying to reach out to RFK Jr. And we could win and put him on the libertarian ticket, because the libertarians are on every ballot.
Yeah. I'm trying to get Robert on my show. My father-in-law did a video with him, a movie, The Real Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Wow.
Yeah.
I watched it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Your father-in-law shot that?
Yes. Jeff Hayes is my father-in-law. And, death threats, and they tried to shut him down at every single path they could, and they were still able to get it out. Same thing, Robert Kennedy, they're shutting his book down over and over again. It still manages to become a bestseller, sell over 1 million copies, all while trying to shut him down at every path they could. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah, he would be a great president.
And Napolitano, there's nobody that knows the Constitution and the Bill of Rights better than him.
Yeah. Yeah. We should make that happen.
Well, see what you can do. Try to, we'll talk later on. We could change it. People are ready for it.
Yeah, I believe the people are ready for a change. Just yesterday, this was really interesting. I shared this with my community. The White House is going back and forth with McCarthy about this debt ceiling situation. And they said, we're not going to blink. We're going to win the game of chicken. There's no way that we're going to be better about our spending. We're just going to be better about the way we collect money from people. And I put this out to my community. You cannot believe the comments, people saying, are you crazy? You're not going to be better about the tax money you steal from us. You're just going to be better about getting more tax money out of us. It's absolute insanity.
Again, just a little background. I began my career running political campaigns in Westchester County, 1971. That was the richest county in America. I worked on a mayoral campaign in Yonkers, city of over 200,000 people. And I worked on state senators and district attorneys, and meeting with Mario Cuomo and Lindsay and all of them. And they sent me up to Albany. They were grooming me, and I became the assistant to the secretary of the New York State Senate. This is the guy that runs the whole show. I'm sitting there with Malcolm Wilson, who was the governor at the time, and the majority leader, and eating shrimp cocktail at 26 years old and listening. It was the worst job I ever had. When I quit, nobody would believe it. I didn't grow up to watch grown men grovel. That's the political system. My good buddy Brian Donahue, his wife became the lieutenant governor under Pataki. I've been in the system. I've been with presidents, prime ministers, and princes, with the Prince of Norway. It's a freak show. These are the same people I hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president. We're still in high school. And that's the way they treat us. They're the principal, and we're just the students.
Yeah.
I read you this article about the Wall Street Journal. Leaders fret about the fragmenting global economy. Leaders? What do you mean leaders? They lead me? Leaders? Yeah, they're leaders. They have all the money. You do what you tell them, what they tell you to do. Leaders. Oh, and then they call that woman from the International Mafia Federation, we are the number 2 official. Oh, an official. She's an official at the International Mafia Federation, a monetary fund. An official. We're all just lower. What I'm saying is we're still in high school. This is the way they brainwash the people. They make us think that they're better than we are. Like The Queen is dead. Oh, and now Charles is king. King? Queen? What are you talking about? What am I, in the third grade? What king or queen? The king and queen, oh, they're better than us. They're royalty. They don't pee and they don't poo.
Yeah, yeah. And their farts smell like roses.
Yeah.
But they don't do those. They don't do that. They don't do
No, no, no. And swallow their crap.
that. For a long time, I've been saying that the Russia-Ukraine war is really NATO versus Russia. In the beginning of the war, I got a lot of pushback in my comments section about that. And now it's just so obvious that that's the situation. You have mentioned that we are transitioning from the COVID war to the Ukraine-Russia war to World War III. Maybe tell my audience a little bit about that.
That's the cover of our magazine on February 20th, 2022.
Oh, okay. Last year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before the war started, it started on the 24th. When all else fails, they take you to war. Biden's popularity was going down the toilet with the disastrous Afghan withdrawal. People forgot about that. The lovely war brought to you by the other murderer, George W. Bush, that lasted for 20 years. Listen to Biden say, no, the Taliban aren't going to take over Kabul. No, the people, they'll killed a number of Americans. Americans killed a bunch of civilians on their way out. Only left behind billions, countless billions of dollars of our weaponry for the military-industrial complex that we paid for. It was going down the toilet. All of a sudden, this incident happens between Russia and Ukraine, and that's the news. We have to bring freedom and democracy to Ukraine, like we did to Iraq and Libya and Syria and the Yemen war. And yeah, all the wars are bringing freedom and democracy. So we are at war with Russia. World War III has begun, and so is NATO. I'm going to read you from, this is on January 19th, an interview with CNBC by Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Quote, if an aggressor is not challenged and can go about his business, it won't end with Ukraine. The whole West is threatened. The whole West is threatened? No, it's not. There's a border war going on between these two countries for 300 years. They're taking down the statue of Catherine the Great because of what she did with Odessa, 1750. She was around. Oh, and they hate her now. Oh, no, it's not threatening the West. The same lie when I was a young guy that if we don't stop those Vietnamese, the commies, the dominoes are going to keep falling. And before you know it, those dominoes will hit the shores of California. I am not making that up. Yeah. And when I was a young man, I believed it. I believed the propaganda, the Gulf of Tonkin incident, that Robert McNamara, the defense secretary, lied to us about. That never happened. And secondly, what the hell is America doing in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of Vietnam? How about if the Vietnamese were down the Gulf of Mexico along with China, Russia, Iran, and Venezuela? Oh, we'd really be happy. They lied us into the war. The West is not threatened by Russia, but that's what they're lying about. I have to tell you, my greatest concern is we're going to be obliterated in a nuclear war. They're already promoting it. You had Business Insider writing a big article a couple of weeks ago about what to do if there's a nuclear explosion. What to do? You'll go in the house, stand in the middle of the room, and bend over and kiss your butt goodbye. Yeah. You're going to be dust. According to the studies coming out, if there's a nuclear war between the United States and Russia, we will go into a new ice age that will only last for about 2,000 years. So all you morons building bunkers, you're really going to be happy down there. Life will be beautiful. I'm telling you, this is my greatest concern. World War II is not ancient history. Europe was destroyed. World War I is not ancient history. I mentioned RFK Jr. and his uncle being assassinated. And there's a speech that he did that I just read on June 1963. JFK, the president, is giving a speech to the graduating students at American University. Anybody could look this up. The whole speech is about peace. This is the height of the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Kennedy is totally opposed to war. He said, we've had enough. He fought in World War II. He said, we had enough. He goes on about the communist Russians and telling, how bad they are, blah, blah. And he said, but these are good people. I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said, they're artistic, scientific, culturally advanced. He said, over 20 million of them were killed during World War II by Operation Barbarossa launched by Hitler. He said their country was destroyed. He said, we don't want war. And he goes on to say, if there's a nuclear war, it will destroy life on Earth for generations. And now they're telling you what to do if a nuclear bomb goes off, and they keep on doing it. Yesterday, the news was scientists in Cyprus did their computer analysis, and this is what to do if scientists in Cyprus, this is what to do if a nuclear bomb goes off? Who are you talking to? Well, we're talking to the general public. I'm telling you, they're preparing us for a nuclear war. They're only, look at the budget. You mentioned the $1.7 trillion budget. Half of it went to the military-industrial complex.
Yeah, over 800 billion. That's wild.
868, well, you got to give the right number, 858 billion, not 860 billion, not 700 billion, 858 billion. Oh, and they don't put in there the CIA and all the other ones. When you put all those numbers in there, it's well over $1 trillion.
Yeah. Well, maybe a future Rumsfeld will come out and say, hey, we're missing about $2 trillion. And then boom, airplanes are hitting buildings and nobody talks about it anymore.
Nope. Oh, here it is. I just want to read this quick. Study identifies best place to hide from nuclear blast shockwave. This came out on the 19th of January. The corner of a room is the safest spot to hide from massive shockwaves caused by a nuclear explosion. Scientists from Cyprus have discovered after running computer simulations of the catastrophic event. Who are you talking to? When I was a kid, they had us hiding under desks in case an atom bomb went off. Like that was going to make a difference.
Yeah.
And we remember with the COVID war, stand 6 feet apart. The wind does not blow past 6 feet, and it blows in straight lines. And when you're in an airplane, you wear your mask. You're sitting around a lot of people, but you can take it off when you're eating and drinking because COVID knows when you're eating and drinking and doesn't bother you. Yeah. These are the same imbeciles that are making up this crap.
Yeah, that was my favorite one is it won't get you while you eat. Yeah. I went to dinner and then we'll wrap this up. I know how busy you are, but I would go out to dinner in Utah, right? Everybody, no masks. Everybody's having a great time. Yes, we had COVID, but then I had to go to California for business. People wearing 2-3 masks, they take them down, put the food in, put it back up. I thought, oh my gosh, where am I living?
I know.
And that's people.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I don't want anyone in the community to be mad at me like I was spreading anything or killing anybody or this was the reality I lived in.
I'm telling you, I go to this, I try to buy all organic food. I go to the health food store over here. 70% of the people still wearing masks.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. We're about 1%.
People walk down the street with masks on. And again, we write a magazine. We only put the facts in, who's dying, why, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. According to the CDC, 2.6 pre-existing comorbidities. From the 1 to 17-year-olds of 73 million people in the United States over the course of, since December of last year, 1,965 1 to 17-year-olds died out of 73 million. And according to the CDC, 61% of those hospitalized were obese.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we definitely need to have another discussion. We're going to have you back on the show. This has been really fun. This has been insightful. You know, I tell people all the time, listen, I can't control the news, but you've got to know so that you can make good decisions for your life and for your family and for your money. And so thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your insight. If people want to learn more, where should they go? What should they do?
Well, the magazine, the Trends Journal, you know, it's a weekly magazine. There's nothing like it. You know, we tell you what's going on, what it means, what's next, and what you might want to do. You know, there's forecasts. You know, go back to 2020, this past December. All the media came up with is this is what happened in 2020. Hey, what's going to happen next year? I don't care what happened last year. Oh, we don't know, but we're going to feed you this crap. Yeah. They don't teach you trend forecasting in Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Cambridge, Oxford. They don't do it. Oxford, we do. So we're giving the people a magazine that they can't find anywhere else. And if you want to support peace, because my major objective this year is for a global peace movement, I launched Occupy Peace a number of years ago, occupypeace.com if you wish to donate for peace. And my parting words are, please, everybody, get in the best shape you can, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and do something positive every day to help those who need the help the most. Or any way you can do something positive. It's so important to accentuate the positive and eliminate that negative.
Yes. Thank you, Gerald Celente. They can learn more at your website, trendsjournal.com. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today.
And thank you for all that you do.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.